I knew something was off the moment she dimmed the bedroom lights without looking at me. No kiss. No goodnight. Just silence and that faint clink of her phone being plugged in. For weeks, she'd been treating me like a roommate with a shared calendar. Barely any eye contact. The kind of cold that doesn't just chill the skin, it makes you question whether the heat was ever there at all. It was a Thursday night when I finally asked. Calm. Careful. The way a man asks a question he's already rehearsed the answer to. Are you not attracted to me anymore? She didn't flinch. Just lay there on her side, scrolling through something that clearly mattered more than the man who paid half the mortgage. Her voice came out level, rehearsed. You're just boring. There's no spark. No edge. I nodded. Didn't argue. No point. I'd seen this before. That shift when admiration turns to apathy. I didn't say another word that night. Just stared at the ceiling, counting every single thing I'd given up to keep this marriage on life support. It wasn't until 2 days later, during dinner at her parents' place, that everything flipped. Her younger sister, Maya, was there. 25, sharp-tongued, the kind who always noticed more than she let on. She'd always been a little too observant for my liking. We were all seated around the table, wine flowing, plates clinking. My wife, Erica, was in one of her moods. Passive digs, subtle mockery. She'd been like this in public lately, tearing me down softly, as if it were casual conversation. Then came the moment. Erica laughed at something her brother said, leaned back, and said it loud enough for the whole table to hear. Honestly, I can't even remember the last time I felt a spark in our bedroom. I mean, how are you supposed to be intimate with someone who's just boring? Everyone froze. I heard the clink of Maya's fork hitting her plate. Then came Maya's voice. Steady, icy, direct. Then why do you keep doing that every night when he falls asleep? Erica's smile vanished. What? She said, barely a whisper. Maya didn't blink. Don't act confused. I share the wall with your guest room. You think I don't hear you creeping back into his bed at 2 a.m.? Silence. I felt everyone's eyes shift between the two of them, then to me. Erica's hand trembled as she reached for her glass, missed slightly, and knocked it over. Red wine spilled across the tablecloth like blood from a fresh wound. Her father stood, trying to contain the tension. Her mother was frozen, fork halfway to her mouth. But Maya wasn't done. You keep saying he's boring, she said, voice sharp, slicing the air. Yet every night you sneak in, touch him like it's routine, like a habit you can't break. Erica looked at me then, like maybe I'd say something to save her. But I didn't move, just watched. Because what Maya said wasn't new to me. I'd been awake most of those nights. I'd just pretended to be asleep. That's the part that got to me. Not the betrayal of words, but the lie she lived in, thinking I was too dumb, too passive to notice. She'd crawl into bed when she thought I was out cold, press her body against mine, run her fingers along my chest, sometimes more. Not every night. Just often enough to feed the illusion that maybe, just maybe, something was still alive. But only in the dark. Only in silence. And never when it meant looking me in the eyes. I didn't speak at the table. Didn't need to. Maya had already pulled the pin. Later, in the car ride home, Erica tried to explain. Her tone was desperate, but her words were still careful, like she was trying to shape a narrative that made her look like the victim of a marriage that had just drifted. You know I didn't mean it like that, she started. I stared ahead. Let the silence wrap around her excuses. It's just. I don't know what happened to us, she said. You said I was boring. I replied, my voice even. Yet you still touch me when you think I won't notice. So either you're lying to me, or lying to yourself. She didn't answer. When we got home, I didn't follow her upstairs. I walked into the guest room, shut the door, and locked it for the first time since we moved in. And that was when the second part of my plan started. Because now I knew the truth. She was ashamed of wanting me. Not because I wasn't enough, but because admitting she needed me would ruin the story she'd been telling herself. That she deserved better. That she was the prize. But now, her sister had shattered that story in front of her whole family. And I wasn't going to waste that moment. I spent the next 2 weeks setting things in motion. Quietly. Legally. I started moving funds, segmenting our accounts, taking copies of everything that mattered. Erica was still reeling, too focused on repairing her image to notice the ground shifting beneath her feet. She tried to be warm again, tried to cook dinner, ask questions, touch me during movies. But I stayed cold, kept the guest room locked, only responded with facts, never emotion. Because she didn't know it yet, but the man she called boring? He was about to become her most unpredictable nightmare. Erica started waking up earlier, wearing makeup to the kitchen, leaving coffee outside the guest room door like a peace offering. She'd knock sometimes, soft, tentative, and ask if I needed anything. I always said no. She was unraveling in slow motion, trying to patch the hole Maya had punched in her narrative. But damage control only works when you still control the narrative. That control was gone the moment Maya exposed her, not for cheating, but for craving the very thing she claimed to reject. Me. She tried to get ahead of it, reached out to her parents, tried to frame Maya's comment as a misunderstanding, said she was drunk, that she meant nothing by it. But Maya wasn't backing down. She told their mother everything. The sneaking around, the pattern, the fact that Erica had been emotionally trashing me to everyone for months, while still crawling into my bed like nothing had changed. Her mother called me 2 days later, said she didn't know what to believe anymore. I said nothing. Let them sit in the uncertainty. Meanwhile, I got to work. I met with my attorney under the guise of reviewing our estate plan. We'd signed a prenup, but there were gray areas. I wanted clarity. I wanted precision. He asked if we were divorcing. Not yet, I said. I'm just building a runway. I opened a new account under my name, transferred my paycheck, separated my credit cards. Slowly, methodically, without raising any alarms. At home, I kept the routine, took out the trash, mowed the lawn, cleaned the gutters, played the role. But emotionally, I was gone, and she knew it. One night, I came back from a run and found her crying in the kitchen. She tried to pull me into a conversation, said she missed me, said we should try counseling. I looked at her, same face I used to love. But now, all I saw was a woman terrified of losing the stability she'd quietly resented for years. Why now? I asked. Why does it matter now? Because I was wrong, she said. I didn't mean what I said at dinner. But you did, I replied. You meant every word. You were just ashamed you got caught needing me. She couldn't answer that. Instead, she tried to reach for me. I stepped back. No more rewrites, I said. You chose the narrative. Now live in it. The next morning, I met Maya for coffee. She didn't apologize for what she'd said. She didn't need to. She just leaned back in her chair and asked, "So what's your move?" I told her I had 3 goals. 1. Protect my assets. 2. Rebuild my reputation with her family, not through defense, but through quiet contrast. 3. Walk away when she least expected it, and make sure the echo of my silence followed her longer than my presence ever did. Maya nodded. She'll never see it coming. She doesn't need to, I said. It's not for her. It's for me. Over the next month, I let Erica wear herself out trying to fix what she broke. She booked counseling appointments I never confirmed, planned a vacation I never packed for, cooked meals I never touched. She thought effort could erase exposure, but it couldn't, especially when I showed her parents the full picture. I'd been collecting voice memos, passive-aggressive digs she'd muttered when she thought I wasn't listening, screenshots of texts to friends, one-liners like, "He's like a houseplant I can't throw away." Boring, but there. I didn't send them all, just 1 or 2. Enough to shift perception. Her father stopped calling. Her mother grew cold. Maya, on the other hand, started checking in more often, asking if I was okay, offering help if I needed it. She never crossed a line, but I noticed the change. The way she looked at me now, like she saw the man behind the silence. Erica noticed, too. One night, she waited for me outside the guest room door. "You and my sister," she said quietly. "Is that something?" I looked at her, let the pause stretch just long enough to make her squirm. "No," I said, "but you're scared it could be. And that's enough for now." She didn't sleep that night. I could hear her pacing. That was the moment I knew she was done pretending. Not just to me, to herself. The image had cracked, and what was left was a woman grasping for a man she thought she'd outgrown, only to realize he'd already outpaced her. I called my lawyer the next morning. "File the papers," I said. He didn't ask why. He already knew. I was done playing the boring husband. Now, I was writing the ending. And Erica? She'd spend the rest of her life wondering if Maya's voice at that dinner was just a mistake, or the start of a reckoning. I served her the papers on a Sunday morning. No dramatic reveal. No raised voices. Just a man in a dark sweater handing a thin envelope to a woman in slippers. She stood in the doorway, stunned, eyes scanning the front page like the text might morph into something else if she stared long enough. "You're serious?" she whispered. "I was serious the night you called me boring," I said. "This is just the paperwork." She didn't cry. Not then. The tears came later, when the reality settled in. Not just that I was leaving, but that I was calm about it. Detached. She knew that look. It was the same look I gave when I was done negotiating a deal, when a decision was final. She tried to follow me into the kitchen, but I closed the door before she could step through. We lived in the same house for the next 2 weeks. Strangers divided by silence and locked doors. I spent my nights in the guest room. She started sleeping in the living room, claiming the bed felt empty. I didn't comment. By the time the final mediation came, she was unraveling. Her lawyer tried to contest asset division, claiming emotional strain, attempted reconciliation, all the usual angles. But I prepared for that. She forgot she signed a post-nup 2 years ago, slipped in between documents during a refinance. She was distracted, in a rush. I watched her sign it without reading, trusting me, as she always had, to keep her safe. It gave me full control over our shared assets in the event of emotional abandonment. Vague clause, buried deep. Legally sound. Her lawyer blinked when I presented it. Erica said nothing. Just sat there staring at the document with her name in perfect cursive, locking her out of everything she once called ours. 2 days later, I moved out. No ceremony. No goodbye. I left the house key on the counter, next to a photo of us from 4 years ago. She was laughing in the picture, holding my arm like she couldn't imagine life without me. Now she had to. I rented a loft downtown. Sparse, clean, efficient. No photos on the walls. Just space. Silence. Control. 3 weeks after I left, Maya texted me. She's still telling people it was mutual. Still says you couldn't handle her realness. I didn't respond. Some narratives don't need correcting. They just need time to collapse on their own. But a month later, Maya called. This time, her voice was different, softer, hesitant. "She's spiraling," she said. "Crying all the time. Says she can't sleep." "Not my problem," I said. And I meant it. But Maya didn't hang up. Instead, she said something that made me pause. "She's not the only one who noticed what you became." I waited. "She used to mock you for being steady," she said. "But that steady part, that's what kept the whole damn family from sinking. Now that it's gone, we all feel it." I said nothing. She asked if I wanted to get coffee. I told her maybe. Not because I wanted revenge. Not because I needed validation. But because Maya had been honest when no one else was. Because in a room full of fakes, she lit the match that burned everything down. Erica called once, weeks later. Left a voicemail. No apology. No ownership. Just a voice clinging to a version of the past that no longer existed. I deleted it. The man she called boring had changed. He'd waited. Watched. Calculated every step while she stumbled through half-truths and entitlement. She tried to shame me in public, but the real humiliation was private, silent, executed in the soft collapse of her imagined superiority. Now I live alone. Peacefully. I make my own meals. I sleep well. No alarms. No late-night footsteps slipping into bed like a thief looking for comfort. Maya visits sometimes. Not often. Just enough. We talk. Nothing more. But there's an unspoken understanding between us, a shared acknowledgement of what was lost and what was gained. Erica once said I had no edge, that I lacked spark. What she never realized is that men like me, we don't burn bright. We burn slow. And when we move, we don't miss.